Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a former Boeing 737 pilot and a member of the PMDG 737 tech team. PMDG have finally announced the release date of the 737-800 for Flight Simulator 2024, and it is the 18th of December, so the coming Thursday, at 1700 UTC, which makes it early evening for most Europeans and sometime around noon for most American friends among us, depending on the time zone in which you are. Now, that time and date may change slightly depending on the further development until that time. However, it is great to see that the airplane is finally making its way to our simulators. Now, a small caveat does apply in that Robert Randazzo has announced in his update in the forum, which, by the way, I am going to link in the video description below, so that you can have a look at the full and original update yourself. So he did hint at the fact that it might take a little bit longer or even go a little bit quicker, depending on how development turns out. And most importantly, he added that the airplane is not going to be 100% finished upon release. He said in the update that they would normally like to take some 10 days or so from the current version of the product until release. But due to the upcoming Christmas holidays and the fact that they want to give you the airplane for those holidays, they are slightly taking the release ahead of what they would normally do, which is going to result in a couple of post-release updates. Now, as someone who has been both testing and streaming the aircraft for a little while, let me give you my personal perspective here on what the airplane can already do and what it cannot yet do. So the most important item to say here is the plane can do pretty much everything that you would want it to do. Now, what can it not do then? Well, it's mostly small items, some of the polishing stuff that would normally be done just prior to release. For example, a couple animations that may not be 100% yet, or maybe a couple of smaller updates to the airframe, depending on how development is going to go until the actual release. So, with all of that in mind, is it going to be anything like an incomplete product? No, it's not. I think I can confidentially say over here that the airplane is in a much better shape than most flight sim products that get released. Even though, just like any flight sim product, it will obviously see post-release updates. It's just that, some companies don't really tell you about it ahead of time, while others like PMDG have just decided to tell you about them. So that's really everything that's going on with that. Now, there has not been any information on the price of the product just yet, but they have once again confirmed that a quote-unquote substantial discount is going to be offered. A piece of new information that has been added here is that there will not be any discount across different purchase venues. So if you've bought from PMDG.com, then you can only get the discount from PMDG.com. If you've bought on Marketplace, you can only get the discount on Marketplace. I can only take some guesses as to why that is, but I do know for a fact that developers can, in many cases, not actually look into the Marketplace shop and confirm that, yeah, this email address has bought that product. That is confidential data from Microsoft and Asobo in Marketplace, and developers have no way of tracking that. Therefore, there would not be any way to verify that you actually own the product over Marketplace if you want to buy it at a discount on PMDG.com. And since that is not possible, you will most likely have to buy on the same venue that you have originally bought your 2020 version on if you want to get that discount. Now, the discount is going to apply for the same version of the product that you're on. So what they have said is that in order to receive the discount on the 737-800, for example, you must have previously purchased it for FS 2020. So if you own a 700, that's not going to qualify for a discount to the 800 and the other way around. It only qualifies for the same airplane, which indirectly kind of confirms as well that it's going to be a dedicated upgrade price for each one of those products. At least that is what I personally read out of that. I do not have inside information here, but it kind of seems to fit in with the way that PMDG is handling the product lines, where every one variant of the aircraft is a dedicated singular product. Now, we could obviously start discussing that. I kind of still prefer this way over what they did with P3D, where they offered an expensive base version and then you could buy add-ons on top of that, which is, for example, what Phoenix is doing as well, where if you just want an A319, you gotta buy the A320 first and then the 19. So PMDG gives you the choice, which obviously means that you have to pay the full price, respectively get a discount for each of the versions that you previously own, while others may do it differently. PMDG has done it differently in the past. Back then it was a very common request that the products should be separated. Now they are separated. Obviously you cannot please everyone, but that is what's going on there. Now the update that Robert Randazzo has posted finishes off with a couple of questions about the 747 and the 777 as well, which we can just quickly cover over here. So when will the 747 arrive? When it's finished. Smiley. And what about the 777 updates and especially the sound update? Robert has just emphasized there again that all the development resources had been pulled off the 777 in order to get the 737 finished in line, which apparently they just about made prior to Christmas here, which I personally do appreciate. However, some more times will have to be spent to finish up the 777 recordings that they weren't fully satisfied with yet for the version that they had previously. So some resources are going back to the 777 now to clean up some loose ends in the product, as well as finish addressing the sound update and a few minor items, and you guys can expect to start seeing the 777 updates again in January. The sound team is very much at work implementing the new sound environment for the 777, but it has to be robust and fully features, as they've done it for the 737. Now, for the 37, for those of you who are not totally aware yet, you got two different sound sets. You've got the standard sounds, and then you also have the active noise reduction sounds, which is pretty much how a pilot would actually hear the airplane. Well, and that is the update that Robert Randazzo has posted. So to summarize, the airplane is targeted to release on the 18th of December at around 1700 UTC. Small changes might happen, even though it's unlikely, but as always, if some small things have to be done, then they will be done. And apart from that, an update will be offered if you own the very same version of the product. Well, and that's everything there is to it. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. I am really looking forward to seeing you guys fly the 737 and share your opinions on the 737 next Thursday. With all of that out of the way, thank you very much for watching. As always, like, comment and subscribe if you're up, especially for the upcoming 737 tutorial series. And with that, thank you very much for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and then I'm really looking forward to see you all again on the next one.